This construction seems like the most foam plastic based one I've seen. This is a technology that works perfectly both for mass home construction by building companies and for slower do-it-yourself construction. New combo solutions cut labor costs and boost reliability and durability. Insulation technologies for frame houses, which they once greatly lacked. In houses insulated with only mineral wool, it can get wet, sag, and gaps may form. Installing mineral wool doesn't insulate the frame studs, so cold bridges can't be avoided. Now everything has changed. The advanced frame design allows you to get truly warm corners with complete elimination of cold bridges. Thanks to the simplicity of the work, builders don't need high qualifications to take on construction. You can even build it with your own unskilled hands. All this contributes to a significant increase in construction speed and as a result, a noticeable reduction in cost. Extruded polystyrene foam is widely used. Personally, I've often used Penoplex in unconventional ways, mainly for experiments. Penoplex used on the walls, ceiling, and floor of a large frame house is a new approach. Now, a frame house has been built without the main drawbacks of traditional frame houses. It's all due to this new insulation system. Viewers of the Yasha Koshak Songs channel will be the first to learn this important information. Let's review everything step by step. Hello everyone. To find myself in the thick of innovative construction events, I had to make a journey of over 1,000 versts one way to the northwest from our village. A huge amount of Penoplex. For now, I'm observing the most classic frame house with a wooden frame and mineral wool insulation still without finishing. The exterior provides wind protection. Every year, more and more houses are built using frame technology. Currently, frame house construction is experiencing a real boom. Houses are being built both for permanent residence and for seasonal use. The number of frame houses is growing every year. This is due to the low construction cost. Such houses do not require a complex foundation. The construction process itself is simpler, and the building speed is faster. Frame houses are easy to finish and clad. They are rigid, and as a result have reliable earthquake resistance. Extruded polystyrene foam, or extruded polystyrene foam, has been used to insulate building facades for decades. I'm well aware of the method where Penoplex is attached to the facade that needs insulation. On top, using an insulation mix and plaster fiberglass mesh, they apply the so-called base reinforcing layer, which is then finished with the final decorative coating. Various decorative plasters can be used as the final finish, for example, bark beetle, pebbles, and others. I've also seen how it's done. Eplex insulates facades for finishing with siding, blockhouse, and other similar materials.
Here, everything is different. We prepared the first panel, cut off the locks on the side and bottom, and accordingly now we're going to secure it. For a tighter fit, we'll apply adhesive foam to the stud. Here we have hangers attached, so we'll pierce the Penoplex and fasten it. I'll need your help here.
Go ahead. Vlad, can you tell me how safe it is to use Penoplex indoors?
The material is completely safe and uses the same raw materials as disposable tableware. That means it doesn't emit anything, so it's absolutely safe to work with. And accordingly, there are documents that confirm all of this, so you can safely use it indoors. By the way, during installation, you don't need to use any protective equipment.
Frame houses are usually insulated with layers of mineral wool. It's an inexpensive and generally decent insulator, but wool tends to accumulate moisture and absorbs it like a sponge. As a result, the thermal properties of the wool are significantly reduced. Mold appears in it, and the frame studs start to rot rapidly. In the classic approach, the issue is solved by using vapor barrier films, but installing them properly is quite a challenge. Vlad, so for breakfast today I took this thing. They say it's the same thing.
The material differs, but it's made from the same raw materials. So you mean what's not inside?
But on the outside, yes, this packaging...
Well, yes, that's a good example of an area where the same...
You just pour boiling water. You don't release anything, and millions of people eat it like that, right? Well, yes, it's filling, it's fine. Vlad, can you tell us about the sandwich you started? What is the thickness of the mineral wool, the timber, and what is the thickness of the foam board accordingly?
Here the studs are 150 millimeters, so the mineral wool between them is also 150 millimeters thick. We add 50 millimeters of foam board inside, making the insulation a total of 150 millimeters of mineral wool plus 50 millimeters of foam board. Foam board, this is optimal for this region. It depends on the climate. Some areas need 100 mm of foam board, others require 200 mm of mineral wool plus 50 mm of foam board.
But it's already colder here. It's rare to find a region colder than yours.
Some colder climates require 200 mm of mineral wool and 50 mm of foam board.
As I understand, this is to prevent cold bridges.
Yes, the foam board is here.
So here it goes all the way through like this.
Including for this purpose.
It will cover these frame posts from above, preventing anything from freezing through.
It turns out to be a solid layer of insulation from the inside. The Penoplex will also act as a vapor barrier, protecting the insulation from moisture.
How do you deal with the corners?
Well, actually the corner is basically the coldest spot because if you look, there are just a lot of boards here without any insulation. And accordingly, when the foam board is placed on the inside, we eliminate this problem. So we have a warm corner, let's call it that.
The weak point in insulating frame houses remains the corners. I found out some information for you about a very promising method.
There's a layer of Penoplex here.
So it goes outside, right over here.
Yes, so we move the frame studs a little bit to place the Penoplex here, and we also put Penoplex right here from the start. This is necessary so that we don't have a cold bridge here. With the classic setup, we have a piece of wood here, another piece of wood, and so there's more wood here, and that's how a cold bridge forms through the wood. Here, that's not the case. We just break up the wooden elements and add foam insulation.
I don't think anyone has done it like this before.
Yes, this is the kind of solution that we're going to test and check now, so to speak. And we've already looked at it. This type of corner is more energy efficient and doesn't freeze like others.
Vlad and I were lucky to be the first ones to try out this kind of insulation, even before the professional builders, who all immediately picked it up. I'm not a fan of diagrams and blueprints, and I think many of you agree. A self-builder's construction should be in his head, so I asked Vlad to explain everything in simple terms, once again.
And this is a way to build a corner in a frame house that you need to do right away, already at the construction stage. So this is our banding here.
Roughly speaking, in its own way.
This is a post up to one wall, and accordingly the second wall. What's the point? A layer of Penoplex goes through the frame post. The posts are fastened together through the Penoplex, and we get this kind of insulated corner. So next, we'll have a layer of Penoplex insulation. Here along the wall, here on the inside, and here we have mineral wool. So we'll use mineral wool here too. This way, we simply insulate this joint, preventing these areas from freezing. Posts.
Right on the frame itself. There's an even easier way to attach the hangers. That's how it will be. And the second one will sit on top of it. We found the best mounting solution right during the installation process.
The suspension is width stable.
If anyone suddenly has any difficulties watching my videos, I want to remind you that the Yasha Kosiak Songs channel is available both on YouTube and on Zen. And recently, you can also watch the videos on VKontactee Video and RooTube. I leave all the links below the video. Be sure to subscribe. That way, we definitely won't lose each other. Support new video releases by using the sponsor button. If you're watching the video on YouTube, viewers from Russia can do this through the Boosty service. The link is below the video. There's an option to mount drywall using a wooden slat. In this case, you don't need any hangers at all. Then it's even easier, though it already seemed as simple as possible. To keep the slat from cracking due to fasteners, especially with dry wood, let it rest and absorb moisture first. Here's an easy life hack. So we take this one cut from here. Yes, it was cut. And then we put it into a zero waste construction process.
We set the joint offset, so we just use a full slab. Everything fits perfectly with the locks. Is excellent. Matches.
Just need to trim a little along the wall and that's it. Super. Let's hold it just a little bit, yeah. That's all.
Not quite. Look, to create a sealed layer, we also taped the joints with adhesive tape and adhesive foam. We needed the adhesive foam mainly to secure the boards, to make the whole structure more or less reliable. And at the joints, we go over them with adhesive tape like this, and we get a sealed layer like this.
Let me introduce you to the person who started all this. Meet Mariah.
First of all, thank you so much for coming to see us. It's very important for me to hear another outside opinion about what we're doing here and how realistic our ideas actually are.
Well, in general, I'll tell you that we're building an experimental house here. That is, we built a house using frame technology.
Right now, this is a very common thing in our country. What's going to be unusual here? We plan to modify things here to change the insulation. We want to make the house as energy efficient as possible from our perspective. We want to completely cover the floors, walls, and ceiling with foam board insulation from the inside of the house.
Mariah is the executive director of FM Stroy, a highly disciplined construction company that has already made the dreams of many good people about their own homes come true. By the way, FM Stroy holds the world record for the fastest construction of an aerated concrete house. It looks like they don't plan to stop there. Both Maria and Vlad are well acquainted with my buildings, which are mainly made of Penoplex. The summer shower and outdoor Euro toilet have offered yard convenience and comfort for years. The raised beds made of warm Penoplex allow for harvesting much earlier and for a longer fruiting period. The Penoplex fence perfectly separates the garden from the vegetable patch. A garden path made of 90% Penoplex is very functional, easy to make, and helps produce a good harvest. A convenient approach to the plunge pool made of Penoplex. Another new path with a floating effect I hope will lead to a large Penoplex pool. In a Penoplex composter, the impermeable walls prevent compost at the edges from drying, speeding up humus production. No matter how much organic matter you add, it will all be processed. The harvest is ready. It's the second half of August and the first fallen leaves have appeared in the garden. It's time to pay tribute to the green carpet of grass that decorates the space between my innovative foam board creations. For this, I will use Fertica Lawn Autumn Fertilizer. This fertilizer contains all the necessary micro and macro elements in a balanced form. There is Fertica for lawns that should be applied in spring and summer. I have already talked about it. In the autumn fertilizer, the focus is on phosphorus and potassium, not nitrogen. It is phosphorus and potassium that promote root system development and better overwintering. Feeding the grass with this kind of fertilizer is very simple. I turn into a sour and just sow. I already know the areas of the lawn that need feeding, and I know the volume of the bowl. That's why I managed to dose Fertica Lawn Autumn in the right amount according to the instructions. I sow half of the required amount moving lengthwise, and the other half moving crosswise. In narrow areas, I don't sow, I just sprinkle. This way, I managed to achieve good evenness of application. By the way, there are also special carts where you pour in the fertilizer, you roll it, and it spreads the fertilizer by itself. Fertica Gazon Autumn is essential for new lawns, preventing winter kill and bare patches. When fertilizing, I use 52 1/2 ounces per square meter. Those laying a new lawn this year will need 1 to 1.5 kilograms of Fertica Gazon Autumn per cubic meter of soil. I thoroughly water all the fertilized areas from the mini pool bath in the freshly sown grass. Thanks to this fertilizer, the roots will develop very quickly, the lawn will take root wonderfully, and will overwinter perfectly. Tested. To avoid straining the family budget, I fertilized the lawn in portions with Fertica Gazon Autumn, a comprehensive professional fertilizer. With it, our lawn, which was in poor shape not long ago, is improving before our eyes. That's why I'm leaving a link below the video. Check it out and buy it. It really helps a lot. Couldn't resist adding my 2 cents to the optimization. These threads here, yeah, stretched out. I understand they're there to keep the cotton from falling.
Yes, that's right. So, in order for the cotton to stay on the ceiling, we stretch the threads. It's the simplest and most effective way. The threads aren't affected. Everything will be covered with foam board later for extra protection, but it's not installed yet. There's no base. Everything is held together by the threads.
Alright, but what if, for example, you take the foam board and attach it like this first, without the mineral wool, and then add the mineral wool later? I mean, switch the order.
You can... Theoretically, it can be done, but I think it will be a bit problematic if we finish the ceiling first and then start working on the walls and connecting them. So that this joint is more proper and more airtight, we decided to finish the walls first and then work on the ceiling.
And here we also need to start on the seams now.
Basically, we've finished. All that's left is to tape the joints with adhesive tape to make the structure airtight. Well, accordingly, that's what we're going to do now.
Maria's channel is called Everything Simple About Construction and More. At the same time, there are videos about this construction on her channel, but from the perspective of serious professionals. I'll leave the link to the channel and the video below this video. Be sure to check it out and subscribe. There's a lot of useful information from professionals in their field. Vlad, we were gluing. I was thinking, why are we gluing?
Well, to create a sealed layer. Actually, in general, in frame houses, this is one of the problems: airtightness. In a classic frame, everything is covered with vapor barrier, but in most cases, it still gets damaged. While they're fastening it while there are joints, someone doesn't seal them. So in frame houses, airtightness is very important. There are even special tests called AeroDoor that people use to find vulnerable spots and fix them. That's why we tried to create an absolutely airtight layer, so to speak, using Penoplex and sealing the joints with adhesive tape.
But what about a breathing house?
Do you mean that the walls should let some air through?
Have you heard of that folk belief people talk about?
Correct, you called it folk belief. There's actually no such concept in construction. And as I already said, in a frame house where the wall is actually hollow, meaning there are boards with insulation between them. On the contrary, any air movement has a negative effect on maintaining the temperature. In a frame house, there shouldn't be any breathing, so to speak. There should be absolute airtightness. That's exactly what we try to achieve. Our goal is to maintain comfort and a comfortable temperature in the house. That's why we use a continuous Penoplex layer and glue the joints. There shouldn't be any breathing here.
The holes in the Penoplex caused by the hangers can also be filled with foam and sealed if necessary. It's very easy to do. I also asked about the ventilation.
Every house should have ventilation, and I'm not talking about some expensive mechanical ventilation system. If you install one like that, that's great, but at the very least you need some simple supply valves so that air can simply circulate in the house. So ventilation is necessary in any case, and in a frame house there must always be airtightness.
The corner has become completely warm, so now there are no more cold bridges from the frame. Here is a frame house with wooden studs and mineral wool insulation. So, if you leave everything exactly as it is now, warm air from the house will get in, the wool will get wet, and its insulating ability will decrease. Suppose we install a continuous vapor barrier, but it's easily damaged. Hangers, staplers, and staples can puncture it everywhere, so it's already compromised. You can use tape to seal it, but that's not very reliable. With Spinoplex, we don't need a vapor barrier. The material is strong, reliable, wear resistant, and durable. Its water absorption is no more than 0.5%. It doesn't let vapor or water through, so it will protect the insulation 100%.
We also attached the Penoplex to the floor beams from the room side. The only thing is the total thickness on the ceiling will be greater. There's 200 millimeters of insulation between the beams and 50 millimeters of Penoplex from the inside. So the total is 250, which is the insulation thickness from two materials.
That's more than enough, in my opinion. For
The roof, the requirements are always higher. That's why, to keep the house warm, we put more insulation in the ceiling. Physics laws state heat rises.
everything is done in a similar way on a pitched roof, as we can see. It turns out I've never used Penoplex for its intended purpose, so everything here is very interesting to me. Foundation, why?
Well, now we're going to start insulating the floors. For the floors, we already need boards with greater strength because now, while we're installing them, we'll be stepping and walking on them. To avoid damaging the material, we specifically use boards of the Fundament brand. On the walls, we used Comfort. As you might have noticed...
Yes.
Let's begin. Well, you can even feel them. Really, go ahead and try. We'll insulate the floors with 3 50mm boards, totaling 150 millimeters of insulation. Why? Because there's no wool in the floors here. The only insulation will be Penoplex. And our floors are laid over piles, meaning these are so-called floors above a ventilated crawl space. There's cold air between the ground and the floors. To keep the house warm, the insulation thickness needs to be greater. In our case, it's 150. The requirements specify 120, 130, but we'll allow a margin just in case.
Having a margin is always good.
Yes, everything is pretty simple with the floors. We lay the slabs without any fasteners, staggering the joints. Well, as usual, we cut off the locks on the first slab so that it fits tightly against the wall insulation. This is how we start laying the first layer.
Vlad is a technical specialist at Penoplex. He handles thermal calculations and consulting.
We just have a small section left. The board should go like this. Let's turn it over. We mark how much we have left here.
This one, we cut off this piece accordingly.
We cut it off.
Let's try it.
And now we have a piece ready to insert in here.
Perfect fit.
And accordingly, the piece we have left after cutting. We'll start the next row.
We turn it around like this.
Like this. Yes, it's easy for us.
Underfloor heating with a semi-dry screed will be installed over the floor insulation, followed by pipe installation. We trimmed this edge here, and we're laying the second layer. The second layer is also laid in a staggered pattern, just like the first one. Thanks to excellent load distribution in theory, everything should feel like a solid concrete slab. The final third layer is being laid.
Guys, thank you so much again for coming today. I think we had a really productive day. We were able to discuss many technical details. I think that's really great. Yasha, what's your opinion? What do you think about this whole idea? Will it work?
Time will tell. No, well, I think it's actually great. Really great.
That's awesome. So, we'll finish everything up and then we'll keep checking and see how it behaves in everyday life when the client is actually living here.
When I returned to my hometown and was editing this story, Maria contacted me and told me that, using this technology, they created the internal warm contour with Penoplex in just 2 days, which reduced the overall construction time by 14 days. This is critically important both for the construction company and for the client, who is eagerly waiting for the opportunity to move into their own home and enjoy country life. And for us self-builders, I think this is also a great solution. Everything is simple, fast, and reliable. Penoplex is available at hardware stores or online. I'll share the link below the video. Since this construction was near St. Petersburg, the birthplace of the three revolutions, we took the chance to visit the main revolutionary sites. The Bolsheviks climbed over this fence, got in there among those very bourgeois, and put them on pitchforks and bayonets. Give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the Yasha Koshek Songs channel. Subscribe to Maria's channel, Everything Simple About Construction and more. To my Zen group, Vi Contacte Rutube, and Instagram. All the links are below the video. Also hit the bell, and then I'll definitely keep you informed. Queen, peace to the whole world, thank you. Subtitles by Dima Torzak.